Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to week 6. This week we will cover placement. Again, go back if you could remember the 4 P's of marketing or extended 7 P's of marketing. One of the important P is place. Place in terms of placement. In order to understand the placement or the different distribution channel or we need to understand the concept of what is important here is the concept of value chain, supply chain, or value delivery process. If, uh, if you able to recall, the term or the concept of customer value is very important, and we have seen the how to define something like value proposition, that is in terms of benefit upon the cost. So you need to have more and more values. You need to provide more values to the customer. That is the customer value. And in order to understand what is value, we'll try to understand the concept of value chain, value delivery process, and the supply chain. And finally, the objective is to understand this important piece of marketing, that is placement. So what are the objectives we have in this session? So why the placement is important? Because the customer, they demand new products, and competitors may take market share if your product is not available on the shelf of the itself in the market. So you need to cater the demand of your customer, and for that, placement is very important. Placing your product or offerings to the market, exact location where you have the uh, that target segment. In that market, you need to position. You need to make your product and offerings available in that market. Oh, these are the like last week recap. What we understood last week, it's all about the pricing strategy. We have seen that in the last week. Okay. So this week, what we have, we need to understand the concept of, as I said, value chain, value proposition, value delivery process, and supply chain management, and how marketing channels adds value. So that means marketing channel, which we will be talking today, it adds value. But before that, we need to understand what exactly the concept of value chain or the supply chain. Second objective is to understand the different level of marketing channel and how they are organized to create the value. And the third objective is to identify different distribution intensities. Like sometimes we have some selective outlets, sometimes we have exclusive, and sometimes multi-channel, multi-exclusive, multi-outlets sort of thing. So different, depending on the intensity of or availability of your product in the market, we'll see that the three main distribution intensities. So keep this in mind. These are three broad objectives of today's lesson. So let's start with something which I said, the value, the concept of value. So first we'll try to understand the concept of value delivery process. We are talking about the customer value over here. So value means or implies the customer values. So most often, most frequently, I used to say we need to create the values, but you need to understand what processes are in, like what chain of activities are involved in terms of delivering the values to the customer. So over here on the left side, you can see the traditional view of marketing. It was totally dependent on, it was based on just make a product and sell to the market, or sell the product. So making the product and selling the product, it was a kind of long back, it was a traditional view of marketing, where making the product involves different sort of activities like product design, sourcing of material, and making it or manufacturing it. And the selling of product, it wasn't like the activities was involved setting the prices, selling to the customer, promotion, distribution, and after sales services. But why the concept of traditional view of marketing fails? Because nowadays the customer, they have abundant choices. multiple choices, and same products are available across the multiple market, multiple segment. So the single product is able to cater the different segments. So that means the traditional view of marketing is no more in existence. So in place of the traditional view of marketing, now we talk about value chain and delivery. So the value creation and delivery, that is important. Keeping the customer at the center of your uh, everything, of your strategy. So talking about the value creation and delivery, it has three different chain of activities. The company needs to choose the value. Choose the value means what offerings in terms of product and services, what unique values you are providing to your target segment or the customer. So choose selecting the values. Once you have selected the values, then you need to provide those values, and then finally you need to communicate those values to the end customer or consumer. So you could see here, while talking about the choosing the value, what is important? The concept of STP, you already understood, the segmentation, targeting, and positioning. That is the essence of marketing, as I said. So while selecting, while making, or while taking decision on the what values, you need to make a unique, you need to align your values to the different market segment. So the concept of STP, that segmentation, which market segmentation and what are the corresponding values to that particular market segment. And then which one is to select and how to position your values. So the concept of STPs is a part of deciding on the values. The second activity is providing the values to the end customer. And that involves different chain of activities, the same as the product development or service development, setting the prices, sourcing, making, manufacturing, and finally distributing. These are the activities involved in the providing the values. And finally, you need to communicate through the promotion activities, advertising, or maybe through your sales force or sales executive who are going to the market. So the value creation and delivery broadly consist of three different activities: choosing the right set of values, providing the values, and communicating the values. So this is broadly known as the value delivery process. But again, the question is, what is value? For that, we need to understand the concept of value chain. Most of the time, you might have heard the term of supply chain, but the value chain is a kind of broader concept compared to the supply chain. So try to understand what exactly is the value chain, the concept of value chain. So in the left side, you have a simple value chain, and what it says that a value chain is an array of business processes. Different firms, depending on the nature or of your product and services, or depending on the industry you're working, the chain of the processes, the chain of business processes may vary. So if talking about the value chain, it is simply a chain of business processes. That means if you're able to note it down, the different processes, processes involved in your firm, that combined will give you the chain of the area of business process as a whole will tell you about the value chain of your firm. So that is the simple concept of value chain. So the value chain is highly integrated. Value chain creates greater value to the end consumer. That means if there is a lag between, there is a gap between what you are promising, means what product you are developing in terms of quality and what customer is wanted in after sales services or in terms of product delivery. So if there is a gap, means your value chain is not synchronized enough to create a greater end value to the customer. So there should be a proper, like all these business activities has to be properly integrated, right? Starting from the procurement or from the business idea creation to the procurement, to the manufacturing, to the delivery of the product and the sales support and all. So taken like the basic example, all these business activities has to be properly linked with each other. It has to be highly integrated. Then only you are able to create a greater impact in terms of creating values to the end consumer. So we understood the value chain is a simple array of business processes. Just making list of all the business processes of your firm one by one, that as a whole will give you the idea about the value chain of the firm. But the supply chain is something different. We'll talk uh, as a supply chain is a subset of a value chain, and value chain is a broader concept, whereas supply chain is a small concept. So like more activities are involved in the value chain in compared to the supply chain. We'll talk about. Uh, you might have heard the strategist named Michael Porter. He is well known in terms of in the literature or like marketing literature as well. So the Michael Porter, he's proposed a concept related to the value chain, and that is known as generic value chain. That generic value chain, you could see there are 5 primary activities highlighted in the red font color, whereas 4 supporting activities in the blue color. So altogether, these are the 9 activities or business processes, you can say, if you consider the generic value chain that is proposed by Michael Porter. So what Michael Porter has suggested that any of the business should have 5 primary activities or business processes, and these are inbound logistics, operation, outbound logistics, marketing and sales, and finally after sales services. Whereas the supporting activities are including firm infrastructure, human resource management or support, technology development, and procurement of your materials, raw materials, sourcing of your materials. So if you consider any of the industry businesses on working in any of the industry, mostly these 9 activities, business activities are frequently you will analyze these activities are happening inside the organization. So if inbound logistics, what is the inbound logistics? You're bringing materials to the business. You're sourcing from, means you're taking the raw materials from the suppliers. So all the activities from the selection of the right supplier, then taking those inside the firm or at the manufacturing places, or keeping before that in some of the distribution places or warehouses, all those activities will be a part of inbound logistics. What are the activities involved in the operation? Mostly the manufacturing activities. You need to schedule for your production, scheduling to the just in time, and all these things are operation. Operation means the converting those raw materials into the final product. The third activity is outbound logistic, that is shipping out the final product to the right place. That is the promotion, is what we are understanding today. Shipping the final product to the right place. And then you have marketing and sales for the communication, and then you have after sales services. So this is the what the Porter called what Porter suggested that this is a generic value chain. So what you understood is the value delivery process, where we talked about the value creation is important, or value choosing the value is important. But which value and how to create that value, for that you need to understand the generic value chain or the simple value chain of the firm. So what is the idea here? You can add the value in any of these 9 business activities. Maybe if you are very quality concerned, maybe you will add the value in terms of while procuring. In the sourcing of the material, you will not go below certain standard. So one firm can think about adding the value in the technology development, or might be some of the firm. Take the example of Walmart. They are very good in logistics, so they added for them adding the values is in terms of inbound logistics and outbound logistics. But you can have a combination of values. Like maybe you can have a combination of business processes where you can add value, and these values will make your firm unique in compared to the customer. So once you understood the value chain, you read more and more about the value chain, some of the examples, and think about some of the company, like the assignment you have selected one of the company. Think about what are the business processes they are involved in, and try to draw something as in a sequence, starting with the business activities 1 to business activities N. We'll take some example. Okay. So once you understood the value chain, most of the time or many of the times they in the marketing terms they use the term supply chain or supply chain management. What is the definition of that? The supply chain refers to the integration of all the activities involved process of sourcing, procurement, conversion, and logistics. So you see here, if you see all these three primary activities, the first three activities together are mostly the part of supply chain. So supply chain includes the inbound logistics, operation, and outbound logistics. All three activities primarily, broadly, the combination of these three activities or the activities related in these three business processes are known as supply chain. Whereas we have seen the value chain is the bigger set, which involves the 5 plus 4, 9 activities or business processes, 5 primary plus 4 supporting. So you understood that supply chain is a chain of activities which talks about the sourcing, conversion, that is the manufacturing, and logistics. This together known as the supply chain. On the other hand, the value chain implies the series of business operation. So that is the broader set. So why the understanding of, again, the supply chain or the value chain or the value delivery process is important? It says that a company's unique value chain or the supply chain leads to the core competency. That means if you added a value in any of the business activities, that gives a firm core competency. And what is the idea of behind the core competency? Core competency is something that a firm can do well compared to the competitors in the three different characteristics. The first one is the core competency has to be a source of competitive advantage. If you're saying that this is my core competency, that means you have a competitive edge. Your competitors preferably not having those sort of advantages. The second one is it is not easy for competitors to imitate or make a copy. That's why it is a source of core competency. If your customer is going to copy your processes or chain of activities, that means it is no more your core competency. And third one is it can be leveraged widely among the product and services which you are offering. So core competency is something which you can have across the different product lines and the services line. So keep that in mind, the value chain or the supply chain. Why it is important to understand the values? Because if you have the unique values, you are able to create some sort of core competency. They help you to, these values will create or help a firm to create a core competency. Take some example, like in the case of Microsoft, and you see in the picture, it is what I said, it's a value chain, which is the chain of processes. For the Microsoft, they design for software services and software product. They make the prototyping, they do the assembly, and they do the testing. Then they make a final product. They market the product in the market or to the client, and then they distribute and they provide the after sales support. And then finally, customer or client enjoy. So this is the chain of business activities or value chain for the software firm like Microsoft. And what Microsoft said, they say that the core activity is highlighted in blue. That is, the firm has the core competency in designing and prototype and innovation and design and prototyping. That is highlighted in blue. So that means in these two business processes, they have added the value. Take another example like Nike. The company doesn't manufacture its own shoes, because the certain Asian manufacturer somewhere in Thailand or somewhere sitting in another location in Indonesia, Thailand, or somewhere in the other Asian countries like Sri Lanka or Bangladesh or India. So they found that certain Asian manufacturers are more competent in this task in terms of manufacturing. So Nike, the firm, they nurture its superiority in terms of shoe design and shoe merchandising. So they are saying that manufacturing is not a core competency of us. What core competency we have? In design and merchandising. So idea is what we understood here till now. We were talking about the value, because something we are talking in the learning objective that we need to understand how marketing channels adds value. So it's important to understand the value or the concept of value creation or delivery process, value chain, or maybe the supply chain. And ultimately, if you have all these things, means you have the some sort of core competency in your product or in your firm, and that gives you kind of competitive edge or advantage. Okay. So the supply chain and the value delivery network. So supply chain is all the activities necessary to convert raw material into the product or services, finally, which needs to be provided to the customer. So somehow you understood the concept of supply chain. Again, if you understood the concept of supply chain, then what is logistics? The logistics is a part of supply chain. We have seen again, the supply chain consists of inbound logistics, manufacturing, and outbound logistics. So logistics is a part of supply chain as a whole. So what logistics does, it's in terms of transportation, goods, placing the goods from one place to another place, like from supplier to the manufacturing unit, or maybe from the manufacturing unit to the final place where the customer, they come and they buy your product. So the logistics attempts to deliver exactly what the customer wants at the right place, at the right time, and right prices. All these three are important: right place, right time, and right places, right prices. So that's why we will talk about the different channel of distribution in the coming slides. And the physical distribution activities are essential to perform some of the tasks, and effectively physical distribution is at the core of logistics. So physical distribution means we are talking about the distribution, warehousing, and all what activities are involved in distribution activities, while distribution, like distributing the product from the manufacturing place to the final place where the customer interact with the customer, with the product and services. This is a simple marketing logistics network. You take your own time. It's easy to understand. On the left side, we have supplier. So the firm manufacturer, they get raw materials, assembly line, they set the assembly line, batch processes, line or continuous processes in order to convert, and after converting, they do the final packaging. So supplier, then you have manufacturer, the goods after the final packaging, either it goes to the distributor, their own distribution center, or the warehouse, or either it goes directly to the retailer, and through the retailer it goes to the end consumer at the right extreme. Sometimes the as I said, it goes to the distributor, and then the role of agent or the broker, they play intermediate role. So the final end consumer, they get the goods and services through the agent or the brokers, or either through the retail store or through the retailer. So this is like a very plain and simple logistics network, how it works. The logistics, the different activities involved in the logistics. And then at the bottom, you see how the information system flows, how the information is very important. So how it flows through the EDI link or just-in-time system or some other like related technology related support using that. So raw material to the some finished, and then it goes to the distribution center or the house warehouses, and finally it got like transported to the retailer shop and at the location where, or at the place where you wanted to place. Easy to understand, right? So the supply chain activities, as I said, these are the different activities as a part of supply chain management. So in the supply chain, you need to always consider of the cost of logistics. You need to take the decision regarding the sales forecast. Depending on that, you will dispatch your product and services to that particular location. Then raw material as a procurement is a part of supply chain, raw material ordering and acquisition, selecting the right supplier through the tendering, bidding for the getting the competitive prices for in the bidding process, production plan and scheduling, inbound transportation, storage of the raw material inventory, and also the storage of the final product. And together with the order taking from the customer, from the retailers, retail shops, packaging, and finally store of the manufacturing goods and outbound transportation, that is shipping the products from the house warehouse to the retail shop or at the place where a customer wanted to have. So these are the chain like activities which are involved in the supply chain management. So the supply chain is the broader concept.
Hey, you hear me?
Hello. Wait.
All good. Yeah, all good. All good. Thank you.
Is there any doubt? You can unmute and speak.
No doubt. Thank you.
Okay. I will request you to just put your mic off so that we will not get any unnecessary, unwanted noise, background noise from your side. So, okay. Meanwhile, just wanted to make sure that everybody has put their name and roll number in the chat box for the attendance. This is mandatory. I can't put your mark like attendance if I will not see your name and roll number in the chat box. So please do that. Okay, I'm assuming that everything is clear till now. I'm continuing with where I stopped. Okay. So again, the value chain is on the top. That is a bigger set of activities. Inside on the top, you have the value chain, and then you have supply chain. So supply chain is a subset of value chain. Now we are talking about the logistics. Again, the logistics as a process or as a function or as a business process as a whole is a subset of supply chain. Right. So especially we have some unique activities, like the firm has to perform some unique activities in terms of logistics. So logistics involve warehousing, inventory management, transportation, and information management. So these are like major activities as a part of logistics. I think we can go through some of the videos. It may give you a small, let me try if I can play for you.
Where our receivers are adding selectors. Basically, all of these items storage bins. Activates it live on the website. You know,
Amazing case.
do me a favor. I'm going to watch it. Exactly where that is.
Crystal candle holders.
That's
Doesn't
right.
make sense that these would be together, but this makes the most sense for Amazon.
It does.
Why?
We optimize our storage space.
So all of these tags that we see, what does this tell you?
This is a specific bin location, so we know exactly where our inventory is, and we can get routed to it as quickly as possible when a customer orders it. Picker is the one that goes out with and pulls the items out of the bins and that the customers have ordered.
between the time that I order something online on Amazon.com and it gets pulled from one of these shelves or another distribution center, how long is that?
Hours.
Hours.
You have a scanner, and it directs you to a location, a bin location. Once you scan that bin with your scanner, it tells you the item that you're supposed to pick. So up here is where we assemble customers' orders. When a customer orders multiple items, we've got over 500,000 square feet that we house inventory in. And so our challenge is to quickly get all of those items into one spot so we can package them and get them on the road to the customer.
What about technology? What technology has made you able to meet your customer demands like that?
Well, all of these systems that you see behind you are the workings of Amazon's proprietary systems. We have brilliant software engineers that help us automate and optimize for our customers.
So it's all about software.
That's right.
What are people buying that you weren't seeing them buy before? Are they opening up their wallets a little more?
Well, as we said in our Q3 guidance, we expect this quarter to be our best ever with
Best ever.
46 to 46 growth on the same quarter last year. Right now is the busiest time. It started Sunday and it's just not going to stop until Santa comes down the chimney. After we've picked our inventory, we're putting all of the items together to get to the customer, see all of our cartons available, ready to be packed.
So I'm seeing the Kindle, and there's a lot of these here.
Yes, you got somehow the ideas regarding the warehouse, right? And then the other function is inventory management. Let me take you for the inventory management for 1 or 2 minutes.
Good.
Hang on. I need to share the videos for the inventory management now.
Inventory management is important in our business because it's really the only way we make money. I jokingly have a little button that sometimes I wear that says, nothing happens till somebody sells something. And the only thing we have to sell here is product. And so with limited funds available to us, limited capital to invest, inventory management is pretty much the #1 thing we want to do well. Good inventory management affects your bottom line in that it allows you to generate sales. It allows you to have the product in place that the customer wants when they want it, and earn the margin that you intended to earn when you adopted your pricing model for that product. I would say that describes the whole process. It's in the system. You've got accurate counts. You're tracking the sales. You're forecasting the sales and purchasing based on those forecasts and receiving it accurately in, and then selling. In terms of how Eagle Mobile and RF in general has impacted our business, what I would say to someone who's thinking about it but hasn't implemented it yet is that it's one of those things that you don't realize how powerful it is until you start doing it, because it saves you a lot of short steps, a few steps on just about every process. They're using the guns all day long, and they're doing things like inventory validation or counting. They're validating the barcode to make sure it's associated correctly. They're using it to check the accuracy of the pricing on the bin labels. There's a lot of little things that when you look at them individually may not seem that big, but when you roll them all up together, it saves a lot of time for the majority of our staff. It's the thing that has allowed us to increase our business, to literally have more sales run through the same sales floor, the same footprint, with really the same number of people. I feel that it's a very competitive advantage that we have. Maintaining an accurate quantity on hand is a journey, not a destination. We started doing it about 15 years ago. Last several years, we've been in really good shape because we have come to believe as a company, staff-wide, we've come to believe that it's critical to our success. We've got accurate counts, and we have order points there saying when the quantity on hand falls below this certain, like a minimum, we want you to rebuy, and we rebuy based upon these case quantities, and here's the cost that we pay, and therefore, here's how much the total suggested order is going to be.
And the third one is the transportation. That is like easy to understand. And the fourth function is logistics information management. I want you to have a look on this. Information management, how the information they flow from one end to another end. I mean, in the supply chain or in the concept of value chain, we have seen the businesses processes are involved. So how those informations they flow from one end to another one. Just have a small video. It's on the logistics information management. This is for procurement sources. Name of the supplier. So let me go back to the slides where we were, right, this slide. So what we understood just now through different videos, we try to understand like what are the different activities or the functions which are related to the logistics. So mostly it is like the logistics functions includes warehousing, inventory management, transportation, and the logistics information management. Regarding the information management, nowadays everything is automated. You have different software packages, software services packages, which take care of all the information from the supplier to the final distribution. Uh, like you might have heard about some of the software packages like ERP or enterprise resource planning software, or maybe you might have heard about the Oracle or SAP. These are the well-known vendor who provides the software packages related to the logistics information management. Even the Microsoft, they do have the software packages for the logistics and supply chain management. Okay, fine. So you understood the value chain, you understood supply chain and logistics as well. Because these concepts are important in terms of placement, placing your product in the mind of at the right place, I mean at the right location. Okay, so where is the slide? Why it is not moving? Okay. So the importance of the placement, we already know that on the top we have 6 P's and the placement is the 7th one. So the idea is we are trying to understand together the importance of the placement. Placement in terms of customer values, the values which you have created inside your organization. You need to place that one in the mind of customer, and in reality, let that product and services available to the customer. So the placement activities are inventory carrying cost. You need to take care of the conversion cost, manufacturing cost, order processing, information related cost, warehousing, storing the product, semi-finished product or the final product in the warehousing, and the transportation, shipment from one location to another location. So all these 4 or 5 activities are important while talking about the placement, while taking consideration of the decision regarding the placement. Okay. Now I will talk about the term which is channel, marketing channel. They are very, very important. Why I'm saying that? Uh, the marketing channel, also known as the distribution channel, is a set of interdependent organizational activities or activities involved in terms of process of making a product or services available to the users. So the channels are important because they allow you to put your product or services available to the customer, to the end consumer. So different channel we will talk about. We will discuss about the different marketing channel. I think this is a very basic understanding. It gives you why the, the role of channel is very important, and how can you improve the efficiency of the channel. So how marketing channel members adds value. Suppose consider like you have the left side, the image, you have the 4 suppliers, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 suppliers. Okay, and the right side, you have 5 retailers. Suzanne, Tom, Megan, they had their own, suppose they had their own retail shop. So 5 suppliers, and you have on the right side 5 retailers, right? So if if each of the supplier has to interact with all the 5 retailers individually, the total number of communication will be 5 into 5, that is equal to 25, right? 5 into 5, because each supplier has to interact with 5 different retailers. So altogether, how many members are, how many communication happened? Total number of transaction without intermediaries is 25. But the moment you add any of the intermediaries in between, you see the number of communication will drastically lower down, will decrease. So if you add a retailer like Walmart, Right. Oh, okay. Sorry. In the first case, the Suzanne, Tom, and Megan, they were the individual consumer or end consumer. So if suppose the firm has to, the shampoo firm has to provide, he has to make 5 communication to each individual, and regard the same way the other manufacturer as well. So altogether, the 25 communication happens in order to get in order to let the consumer have their product available. But if the moment if you add one retailer or one intermediaries, for example, the Walmart in between, now how many communications is you are doing now? What is the total number of communication now? So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 at the left side and right side 5. So Walmart is communicating 5 times, 5 communication with from the Walmart and 5 communication right to the Walmart. So altogether, how many communications here? 5 plus 5, 10. But in the first case, we have seen the total number of transaction or the communication was 25. Whereas just adding one intermediaries, the number of transaction or number of communication has gone down drastically, like from 25 to 10, and that is the importance of adding the intermediaries in between. So one is the firm and one is the end consumer. You need to add some intermediaries so that the number of communication can be decreased. And this is the way the marketing channel, they add value. They help in lowering down the number of communication. So now talking about the number of different channels or different number of channel levels. So we have 3 different channel levels, channel 1 or level 1, level 2 and level 3. What is channel 1 or level 1? If you as a manufacturer, if you're allowing customer to take directly your product, that means if there is no intermediaries, consumer is sourcing or consumer is taking the product directly from the manufacturing unit or from the manufacturer, this is known as the level 1 channel or the channel 1. And another name of this one is direct marketing channel, means direct marketing. There is no intermediaries. You have the firm and the end consumer. You are allowing end consumer directly to take the product from your warehouse or from your distribution channel. So there is no intermediary in between. In the second case, in channel 2, you have one intermediaries, that is the retailer. Just now in the case of, we have seen in the case of Walmart. So if you are a producer and end consumer is at other extreme, if you are adding one retailer, that is the level 2 marketing channel. But in the level 3 marketing channel, you have one more intermediaries known as wholesaler. So idea is the producer will supply the finished product to the wholesaler. Wholesaler will supply the product to the retailer, and retailer will finally, the consumer will have access of those products and services through the retailer. So that is the level 3 marketing channel. So remember, the first one is the channel 1 is the direct marketing, whereas the other one, channel 2, channel 3, or you can add more channels, right? More intermediaries. So whatever, like channel 2, channel 3, or channel 4 or 5 and so on, they are the indirect marketing channel. Because the company is not, the consumer is not taking this, getting the product or services directly from the customer, from the company or manufacturer. So these are the indirect marketing channel. Whereas the first one, the channel 1, is the direct marketing channel. But remember, why, if you know the benefit of direct marketing channel, so why there is a need to have indirect marketing channel then? So you need to think about, like, in what circumstances, in what situation a company they decide for, they go ahead with the direct marketing channel, or why they go for the indirect marketing channel by adding retailer or wholesale. What I said, these are the, like, you have the agent or broker as a person who is dealing between the end consumer to the, or between the firm. Sometimes you have the retailer, or sometimes you have the different distributor, or the who has their own warehouses. So what I said, indirect channel, always they cost money. And this is important to understand. If you have the direct channel, as we have seen the channel 1, direct channel. If suppose the manufacturer, the unit cost of production is $30, and consumer is getting that product at the price of 120, suppose. So what benefit, what profit the manufacturer will get in this case? Around 70, right? Okay, yeah, 100 is the purchase price for the consumer. So 70 is the profit. But see at the down, in the case of adding intermediaries, like if you're talking about the indirect channel, so if you add one retailer, so the cost of manufacture is suppose 30, unit cost of production is 30 euro, the retailer will get at the price of 75, and the consumer will get it in the price of 100 euro. So what is the profit for the manufacturing unit in the second case? Level 1, where you have one retailer, 75 minus 30. So the profit is only 45, whereas in the direct channel, they could have gained more, around 70. So again, if you are adding two, like one wholesaler and one retailer, then manufacturing unit of cost is 30 euro. Wholesaler will get it at the price of 60 euro. They will sell it to the retailer at 85, and finally the consumer will get at 100. So what is the profit for the manufacturing unit or manufacturer? Only 60 minus 30, so $30. So you see, the moment you will add more and more and more channel, distribution channel, the profit margin will go lesser, right? But the company has to take a decision. So it's important to take a decision how many retailers, how many wholesalers you wanted to add in your distribution channel. I hope that is clear for you. So if I say company, they have to choose number of retailers or the wholesaler, means they have to select intermediaries. Why? Because the company alone can't handle lots of big mass market, right? So the intermediaries, they perform lots of functions. So there are so many functions the intermediaries as a retailer or the distributor, they perform. So these are the list of some of the activities which intermediaries they perform. Like they gather the information about the current customer or the potential customer as well as the competitor. So retailer or the distributor, they have the ideas about what is the market, what is the trend in the market, who are the competitors, who are the major players. Sometimes they develop communication channel to stimulate the purchasing. They reach agreement on the prices and other terms of transfer of ownership of. They place order with the manufacturer. They acquire the funds to finance inventories at the different level. They wear some sort of race, especially the perishable product, right? They don't have they have the limited days of uses. So they wear risk. Think about the medicines, the forms which are in the medical sector, right? The expiry dates. And nowadays, even lots of FMCG products, they have the expiry dates. So they assume some risks are connected while carrying out, even in the distribution channel. And they provide the successive storage and the movement of the physical product and all the payment options and all. So these are the functions as a manufacturer they can't do. That's why they add intermediaries in terms of wholesaler or retailer. So they perform, intermediaries perform so many functions, so many activities. Okay, so since we understood the placement, we are talking about the placement, making the product and services available to the customer. But nowadays, it's the age of, it's the ICE age, right? Age of information, entertainment, and something the ICE stands for. So we are in the digital era, right? So, and because of that, the concept of placement has got a different, has been shifted from traditional brick and mortar to the bricks of and click, and nowadays we are talking about the pure play. So what is pure play? Also known as the e-tailers, means the purchasers, the consumer or the end customer, they are buying, means it's a kind of e-commerce portal, right? The company, they only buy, means the product only through that e platform. So that is known as, those are known as the pure play. Bricks and clicks, it's a combination of both. Bricks, they have face-to-face interaction, that is offline, whereas the click online. So if you have both options, if the firms, if the firm, they provide both the option to the customer, that either you can go visit and to the marketplace and buy it, or even you can uh, buy it online. We will have a door delivery, something kind of thing. So if it is a mix of both, it will be a bricks and click. Whereas the traditional one is the brick and mortar. Mortar is the traditional street side company that deals with the customer face to face in an office or in the branch or some of the places. So that is like how the concept of brick and mortar has changed from changed to the brick and clicks and pure play because of the digital era we are living. So these are the places where different forms of formats of the places where the products are available and customer can have the access. Marketing channels in the service sector. So as I said, the same concept which we are trying to understand from the beginning in today's session is not only applicable to the product, it is also applicable, or not only available to the goods, applicable to the goods, it is also equally applicable to the service sector. So again, in the case of suppose Vodafone who provides the telecom services, they do have the similar sort of some sort of value chain activities, supply chain activities, and they do have some sort of kind of activities related to the information management system, and we have seen other warehousing to some extent activities. Okay, since we understood the different levels of 3 levels of marketing channel, right? There is a concept of channel conflict. Conflict, understanding conflict, it's quite natural, right? There are various sources of conflict, I mean to say, but what is channel conflict? The conflict inside the channel members. We have seen the channel has a different members, right? And who are the members in the channel? Maybe manufacturer, maybe the retailer or wholesaler, so or maybe the end consumer. All these are the members of the channel. So what is channel conflict then? The channel conflict is disagreement among the marketing channel members, maybe on the goals, different goals or diversified goals, or maybe the roles are not clear. Who has supposed to do what? Retailers has to do what? Wholesaler and retailer, there is a role ambiguity in terms of who has to do what responsibility, who has to perform what activities, or maybe in terms of reward, the kind of percentage or kind of benefit or percentage the retailer is getting from a wholesaler is not appropriate, not up to industry standards. So these are the sources of channel conflict. The moment you understood as a marketeer, now your role is very important as a marketeer. The moment you analyze that there is a potential source of conflict, you need to handle those things. So, but before that, you need to understand the conflict could be a horizontal conflict. The second one is vertical conflict. Okay, take some example in order to understand the horizontal conflict and the vertical conflict. Horizontal conflict is if the conflict is occurring at the same level of the channel members. I mean to say, if yeah, you as a manufacturer, right? You have 2 different distributors, right? And the different distributors has been allocated different territory to sell or make the product available for the consumer. But what happened over a period of time? One distributor, they willingly they entered to the other region, other territory of the like other the territory, they enter into the territories or the region assigned to the distributor second. So that in this case, both the distributor 1 and distributor 2, they are in the conflict. And since this conflict is happening at the same level of the members, so it is known as horizontal conflict. This another example of the horizontal conflict could be the conflict between 2 or 3 different retailers. So those are like, so that is known as the horizontal conflict, that is on the same level of the members, right? But then the second type of conflict is vertical conflict. By the name itself, it's a vertical, means 2 consecutive level, right? You have manufacturer, you have wholesaler, you have the retailer. So there could be a conflict between one wholesaler and one retailer in terms of getting the reward, in terms of profit percentage. Or maybe retailer is not happy not happy with the wholesaler because the wholesaler is not shipping the goods on the right time. Or maybe this conflict can happen between the client or the end consumer and between the customer, between the retailer. So different levels. So the 2 consecutive level of the channel member can be in the conflict, and that is known as vertical conflict. I hope this concept is clear. Is everything clear today? Till now, is everything clear? Now you can speak or you can discuss. We can have a small discussion.
Yeah, everything's okay.
Is everything clear till now? I'm not able to hear from many. What about others? Okay, if it is clear, can you think about some more examples in terms of, okay, let's go through one by one. Are you able to draw now the value chain or the supply chain of your firm? Did you understand the concept of value chain?
Yes.
So I'm assuming that you are able to draw the value chain of your firm, especially in the assignment. So probably in the assignment where there will be a space for putting the promotion or the, like not promotion, the place as a P, you can draw your company which you have selected. Like somebody has selected Amazon, someone is Apple, somebody is Vodafone. So you need to draw that value chain activities in your individual project assignment as well as the group project assignment. So that I will be happy to see that value chain activities in your project, if you understood that one. So once you understood the value chain, we discuss about the supply chain. That is a small subset of what I'm like. Yeah, you can see here also, like just a kind of repetition. So you have the concept of value chain. That is the bigger one. I don't know where is the blue mark. Okay. So the value chain activities is the bigger circle, right? This is the value chain. Inside that you have supply chain, concept of for supply chain activities. So the supply chain is a subset of bigger value chain. And inside the supply chain you have logistics. I want you to, be clear with this term. Most often they use this term like value chain, supply chain, or the logistics interchangeably. More frequently they use it, but it's better to understand who is the subset, who is the bigger picture. The bigger picture is value chain. Inside that you have supply chain. So some of the activities of the value chain will be a part of supply chain, and some of the activities of the supply chain will be a part of your logistics. And then what we have discussed after that. So in the logistics, we have seen the functions of warehousing, inventory management, transportation, and information management. You understood the importance of adding the intermediaries. They help in reducing the communication. So we have seen in the example, 25 communication has been reduced to 10 if the firm or if the Walmart is acted as a intermediary, one of the retailer in the case. Then we understood the level 1, level 2, level 3. So the direct marketing is the level 1 direct marketing. By the name itself, manufacturer, so the consumer will get the product from the manufacturer. So that is the direct marketing. But others, if the moment you added any of the intermediaries, you are no more direct marketing, you are in the indirect marketing. So it could be a kind of adding 1, 2, or n number of retailers or n number of wholesalers. So that is up to you. You need to, depending on the nature of the product and services, depending on the demand and depending on the resources of the firm, how many manpower you have. So all depending on like several factors, you take the decision regarding adding the channel members in your marketing. But remember, it costs money, right? Adding the channel, marketing channel. Let me share the slides with you. But remember, like it always costs money. If you add more and more, ultimately, as a manufacturer, as a firm, your profit percentage will get lower. So you need to take a kind of right strategy. You need to take a right decision in terms of how many retailers and how many wholesalers to add in between you and consumer. That is very, very important. And as a marketeer, you will be providing this information to the top level executive or to the decision makers. You will guide them that what is the trend in the market, where is the like more density of the consumer, where is the less demand. So all these decisions as a marketeer you have to take, and then depending on that, the company will take the decision. We have seen the list of functions they perform. The intermediaries, they perform many activities, and these are the lists. Because of the digital world nowadays, like the availability of the product and services has a wider availability of the product and services. We have seen the cases of pure e-retailer also, and we have seen the cases of brick and mortar. That was the traditional way. Same concept is equally available applicable for the services as well as the goods. And ended with the behavior, that is the conflict. Is this horizontal and vertical conflict is clear for everyone?
Could you explain it one more time? Because I'm still trying to understand it. Yeah.
Okay. So, okay. Once again, I will try to explain this one. Okay. Maybe I can shift to this whiteboard. I need to take the blue marker. So suppose, are you able to see the blackboard? It means whiteboard, sorry. It's generic term, blackboard. So you have manufacturer, right? You are a manufacturer. Suppose you have wholesaler, 1, wholesaler 2. Then you have retailer 1, retailer 2, retailer 3, retailer 4, retailer 5. And then you have end consumer, right? And we have a concept of horizontal as well as vertical. So by the name itself, horizontal is something horizontal. It's the kind of conflict in between at the same level. See, this is the one level. See, the different level, right? So if there is a conflict between channel member at the same level, they are in the same level. All they are in the same level, right? Retailer 1 and retailer 2, retailer 3, all these are in the same level. All the wholesalers are in the same level. So if there is a conflict between two wholesaler or distributor, or maybe the two retailers, then this is known as horizontal. Horizontal conflict. It's at the same level. Channel members are on the same level, either between where a distributor or maybe the retailer. See, suppose this manufacturing firm, they have given two different territories to two different distributor. Suppose the distributor 1 got access for the New South Wales territory or state. Distributor 2 has been assigned to sell the product only to the Western Australia. But what happened after some time? The distributor 1 was trying to sell or trying to open the branch in the other area, or the territory or the region assigned to the distributor 2. That means they both will be in the conflict now. And this is the case of horizontal conflict. So as a manufacturer, you need to resolve, as a manufacturer, you need to resolve the conflict in between the distributor 1 and distributor 2. Otherwise, it will hamper your business, right? If they will be in conflict, ultimately your productivity, your performance in the market will go down. So that is the importance. That is the concept of like horizontal conflict here. But what is the vertical conflict? If you understood the horizontal conflict, then what is the vertical conflict? Vertical conflict is a conflict between different levels, between manufacturer to warehouse, or the distributor, or in between the distributor or retailer, or maybe the retailer and consumer. So they are in the different level, right? Level 1, level 2, level 3, level 4. So if there is a conflict between manufacturer and distributor, that means that is the case of vertical conflict. In between these two, retailer and, see, retailer is not happy with the distributor. Why? Because he is not supplying the goods at the right time. So they are in the conflict. That could be. Even the end consumer is not happy with the retailer because he is not getting the product availability in the retail shop. So that is the conflict. So these are known as vertical conflict. Is that clear?
Yes, the visual presentation really helped me understood. Yeah, especially the triangle thing, because I thought it was just a pure line, so it was hard to know where's the vertical there too.
Okay, but now it's clear, right?
Yes.
Okay. For others, everything is okay? Okay, all good? Oh, you have no mic, so you can't speak. You can write, if you have anything, you can ask on the chat box. Mic. Yeah, you can write if you have anything you'd like to add more or you like to discuss. If anything is not clear, please ask me. Okay, let me complete the session today. I think it will go another 20 minutes and then we will have a discussion on the progress of the project work. Or do you want to have a break, 5 minutes break? What do you suggest? You want to have break? Yes or no? Okay, okay. So let's complete then all the. So let me share the slides where we were. Okay. So we understood the concept of channel behavior and the importance of resolution, the conflict resolution, or importance of resolving the channel conflict is very, very important as a marketer. Okay, now I will talk about channel organization. The left hand side, you have conventional marketing system. Right side, you have vertical marketing system. I think you try to understand the traditional way of marketing or conventional way of marketing system is the producer, manufacturer, they ship goods to the wholesaler, wholesaler supply to the retailer, and retailer supply to the end consumer. That is the traditional way. In the traditional way, you could see here, there were less coordination between these members, each members. Whereas in the vertical marketing system, where the producer, wholesaler, and retailer, they all three, they work together. The level of cooperation is high, so that the value which end consumer will get will be higher. So if they work integrated, like if they work coherently, or what is the right word? If they work in a properly integrated, synchronizing their activities together, using the proper communication channel, or they are transparent in terms of communication, clarity in the role, responsibility. If they work together with high level of cooperation, the idea is the more they will be able to generate more values to the end consumer. So in the vertical marketing system, producer, manufacturer, wholesaler, or retailer, they work together. Whereas in the traditional traditional marketing system, there were lack of communication among each other. So if you understood the vertical marketing system, where all these intermediaries and the manufacturer, they work together, there could be three different types of vertical marketing system. One could be corporate, second one is contractual, and third one is administered, right? Contractual VMS, vertical marketing system, is easy to understand. By the name itself, contractual, that means there is a proper agreement between manufacturer, distributor, and retailer. There is a proper contract regarding who will play what roles. So the role and responsibilities of each and every member is clearly written down in a sheet of paper. That is known as the contract. So that is the contractual VMS. Coordinates the distribution or the function or the activities through formal agreement among the channel member. That is easy to understand. The second one is corporate VMS. What it says that it's a single owner runs the organization at each stage of channel. So there could be a chances where the manufacturer, they do have their own wholesaler and they do have their own retailer. So if all three, like producer, wholesaler, and retailer, has a single owner, that means that will be the case of corporate vertical marketing system. And the third category is administered VMS. Administered VMS. In this case, there is a dominant channel member that exercises power to achieve channel coordination. So what it says in administered VMS, there is a dominant player. So maybe sometimes wholesaler, they dominate in terms of taking the decision, or sometimes retailers like Walmart or like the big retailers, they have more negotiation power. They are having more power to negotiate on certain prices, on certain issues and all, right? So they are in the more demanding position kind of thing. So if that is the case, that will be the case of administered VMS. So in the administered one, the chances are there will be a single company of A, like A will be the producer, company B will be a wholesaler, and company C will be retailer. Whereas in the first case, we have seen the corporate VMS, A, B, and for all these three level, only one single owner will be there. So the company owns, company do they have their own distribution as well as retail shop. Whereas in the contractual, you have the written contract regarding all the responsibilities. There could be, yeah, the possibility is there that all the different owners will be in the contractual VMS. Okay, we have a learning activities based on week 6, that is placement. You need to think about a firm that is Vinomorpho and how the company they organize value delivery to the customer. So what are the important questions here to discuss? We will discuss this one in the tutorial on the coming Friday. So what are the activities? You need to analyze these articles on the Vinomorpho channel of distribution. So you have the 6 different links. I want you to go through these links and analyze the concept of placement or the channel of distribution of the Vinomorpho. And once you are there on the Friday session, the tutorial, I will be happy if you will be able to respond some of the answers using the article, what is there in these articles. So I will request you again, all these, this slide is already uploaded on the Moodle, so please go through all these reading materials, like these articles, to understand better the channel of distribution. Then you have to identify and describe what type of member channel they are, means what sort of, what level of channel members they have, who are those. So you need to analyze that and you need to identify. You need to identify the issues in terms of how Vinomorpho handles its supply and distribution chain in order to deliver the value. So look at from the perspective of value chain, supply chain, logistic activities. What is there any issues? The article they talk about. Even you go through the company website to get some more information. And finally, you have to little bit understand how the value is delivered to the consumer. Is there any trade-off? Might occur within the other marketing mix elements. So you can think about this piece, marketing piece of placement with regard to the other piece in terms of costing. We have seen that adding more channel members, right? It incurs more cost to the firm. So you see the linking of different marketing mix is very important, very, very important. So this will be a part of your Friday activities. Please read all these 6 reading articles. Okay. Now we have something which is known as number of outlets. Means how many, what should be the intensity, distribution intensity. The producer makes decision about how to add values for customer through a variety of distribution intensities, each serve different purposes. A firm can think about few number of outlets, or maybe if the firm they think that the demands are high, intensities of demand is high, and less competitors are available. So in that case, company can think about having more and more, as many as possible, the number of outlets. So again, you have to take this sort of decision. And you have broadly three different formats or three different choices. The first one is exclusive outlet, exclusive number of outlets. Second one is selective number of outlets. And third one is intensive number of outlets. We'll go through one by one. Let me have some water. Okay, all good. So I was talking about you have three different choices as a firm. Either you can choose exclusive outlet number of outlets, or maybe intensive one, or maybe somewhere in between, that is selective number of outlets. So let's go through some of the examples where in which case, in which product or services, which sort of choices will be more suitable. For that, the first one is intensive distribution. That is the right extreme. The company is looking for as many as possible. They are trying to open the outlets. Okay. So intensive distribution is the aims to maximize the market coverage by selling a product through all wholesalers or the retailers that will stock and sell the product. So in this case, the product availability is the most important criteria, most important thing than anything others, consideration to the customer purchase decision. So take some example like products like milk, soft drinks, and other FMCG products are highly intensive in terms of their demand. So the company that choose this sort of intensive distribution, or they try to sell it all these FMCG product through as much as number of outlets. So that is the intensive distribution applicable to the certain categories of product and services. Other extreme, you have exclusive. You might have heard many of the times this firm, particular firm A, has exclusive showroom or exclusive outlets at this location or in this region or in this. It happens. So the second one is exclusive distribution. Limiting distribution to a single outlet in a particular region. So maybe the Audi, or maybe the luxury car or luxury watch, or something which is high-end customer, which is premium prices, is only available to some particular outlet. That is known as the exclusive outlet. Or it applies to the cars, pianos, and the product with the high price tags are often sold through the exclusive distribution. Idea is the customer will perceive. I'm talking again about the customer values. Why this decision is important? If you're selling a premium product, high-end product, you need to have some. You need to have positioning in terms of your appearance, and for that you need to have the exclusive showrooms, which only deals with your firm product, not the competitor product. So that is the exclusive distribution, that is limiting the distribution. So the idea is only it should not be available at every shop or every kiosk or every retail shop. Idea is those who are interested, those who are very keen, they will go by themselves to buy that particular location or that particular place to buy that certain product. So that is the left extreme, the few outlets. So exclusive means there will be a chances of very few outlets. Mostly it will be one outlet in one particular territory or one particular region or one particular suburb, depending on the resources the firm they have. Somewhere in between you have a third choice that is known as selective. That is a combination of outlets, the selective one. Okay. The selective distribution is appropriate when demand is so large that exclusive distribution is inadequate. So if you feel difficulty in terms of giving after-sale services or maybe customer has to, or maybe there are other costs like selling cost or service requirement is required. Maybe the one exclusive showroom in one region will be not appropriate, right? So depending on the nature of the product, you might be thinking about adding more and more, adding few more outlets. So that will be a kind of selective distribution. You have combination of few outlets. So selective distribution is suitable for swapping the products such as household appliances, electronic equipments, and all, because it needs some sort of after sale services, some guidelines, some training. Sometimes it needs some sort of training to you how to use the certain appliances. So one explosive will be not enough. So you need to have, you need to choose this sort of format that is known as the selective distribution or selective number of outlets. So that decision is again very, very important in terms of placement. Are you going to place your product only in one showroom as an exclusive, or as many as retail shop and different formats? That is intensive, and somewhere in between, the selective one. So you need to take this sort of decision for placing your product in the market, in particular segment of the market. Maybe you can take some time and analyze. What do you think? What should be the best fit for all these products? Like Kellogg cereals, Yamaha piano, we have seen selective will be, no, exclusive will be fine. It's very, Apple iPhone, maybe selective one. Tesla car, exclusive, very rare, very few who are more environmental sensitive and the purchasing, high purchasing power. So Tesla car, maybe the exclusive will be fine. Water bottle, as many as possible. So maybe you will go through the intensive. LG TVs and all, maybe the selective one will be fine. Few Disney ride and all, maybe the highly exclusive, right? You don't want to have another one who operate your, so maybe the highly exclusive. Hope all these things are clear. Okay, we have the concept of retailing. I think you guys do visit different retailing shops. So retailing is what? The final stop in the distribution channel in which the organization sell goods and services to the consumer for their personal use. So the consumer, they go there, they buy it, make the payment, take the ownership of the goods. That is the concept of retailing. You visit to the nearby retail shop to purchase. So retailing is a big business in Australia. I mean, it's the second largest employer in Australia. And more than one of the, like in the US, one of the every 10 worker is employed in the retailing. And you have big players in the in US. Mark and Spencer is there. Walmart is there, and there are other big brands and big retail shops out there. So retailers, they belong to the channel of distribution we have seen. They provide time, place, and the ownership utility to the customers. Yes, they do. Customer, they go there and they interact, they buy. This. And retailing varies from country to country because of the different culture, custom purchasing parity, and because of the income level, and because of lots of factors they play. So the concept of retailing, it depends on, it varies from across the country. Taking the retailing decision, like how many retailers you wanted to have for your firm, the criteria, maybe amount of services, or maybe the product line, or the kind of organizational approach. On the basis of these three criteria or other criteria, you will think about, for example, amount of services. If you think that your offering needs a kind of full services, accordingly you will take the decision of the number of retailers. Or if your product and offering needs less services, or self-service is involved, then maybe you will go through the selective number of outlets or retailers. So amount of services, they help you in taking the decision regarding the number of retailers. Sometimes depending on the product line, the different formats of retails are there. Sometimes it's a departmental store, supermarket, convenience store, or even the hypermarkets. And on the basis of the organization approach, also you need to take the decision regarding the retailers. So these are the kind of decision-making tools based on the organizational context, based on the resources, based on the several factors. You need to take the decision regarding the different types of retailers. We have seen, because of the internet age or age of information, the internet distribution is reducing the need for the intermediaries and changing the channels. So the concept of disintermediation and re-intermediation is important nowadays. So even a small firm can reach consumer internationally. They are known as the, did you heard the term global, born global? There are certain categories of the firm who operates globally from the day one. They are known as born global. So producer can directly market to the consumer. Direct marketing model is followed by, we have seen the direct marketing model, right? Level 1. There is no intermediaries in the case of Dell and Apple. So the good example is the Dell one. They have the direct marketing channel. So directly, like manufacturer to the end consumer. You can make an invoice, you can buy it online, and the company you directly ship to your house. Now they do have some sort of warehouse distribution, warehouse sort of things where you customer go and they can grab as well. So what is the advantage of having the internet distribution? The advantages include better access to the knowledge about the customer. So customer, they can give the feedback, and you can have a sort of, you can run some sort of analytics tools you can apply, and you can find out some of the trends, some of the improvement decisions, some of the feedback to improve the processes. So lots of things you can do because of this internet distribution channel. E-commerce, because of the internet availability and all, the company, they are in the e-commerce business. So there are benefits for the customer, but there are dark side. So what are the benefits of the e-commerce? Easy access to the customer or more customer. Customer, they don't have to visit to any of the shop. They don't have to go and interact with the executive face to face. You can sell your product around the world. You have a mass potential customer base. It decreases the cost of inventory management. You don't have to store, you don't have to keep your inventory to the multiple outlets. So decrease the cost of inventory management cost, ease of transition, knowledge about their preferences and behaviors using the analytics tools. Whereas there are certain limitations of e-commerce, like the site maintenance may be high. You need to have some sort of, as I said, enterprise resource planning software, just like SAP and Microsoft packages on the different business processes, like human resource management, or maybe the supply chain management, or procurement management, or the distribution. So you need to have, like, the initial cost is very, very high if you install the Oracle system or the Microsoft system in organization in order to handle all this operation. So e-commerce is highly competitive. It's not only you in the business. There is a multiple, more than maybe 10,000 players who is doing the same in the e-commerce business. So it's very difficult to position your brand in the mind of customer. There is a payment issue. The payment issue is fine, but the credit issues, if you're giving you're providing the credits, it's difficult to get it back, recollect and all, and it may cannibalize in store sales. So suppose Cannibalize means you have suppose two products, right? You put one of the product in the retail shop and one product you put in the through the e-commerce online selling. So there is a chances that because of the ease of transaction, ease of availability, one product will have more selling in compared to the other one. Or maybe the similar product, if you are putting on this on the shelf in the retail shop and also on the online, the chances are there that maybe the other product line will get hampered in terms of number of sales. So the chances are there the one product can cannibalize the another product. So if you're using the e-commerce, there are benefits to the customer: convenience, choice, and comparison. Whereas the limitation to the consumer is like the chances of risk, difficulty of getting the refund. You can't touch, you can't feel, cannot try before you buy, so no guarantee on the quality. So all these issues are in terms of limitation. So overall, what we try to understand, we started with the value chain, supply chain, and we have seen the value delivery process. Then we move to the marketing network, different level of channel, marketing channel. We have seen the level 1, level 2, level 3, and we have seen the role and responsibility of the intermediaries in the marketing channel or in the marketing network. We had a small more emphasis on the logistics function because logistics plays a major role in terms of placement. So inbound logistics and outbound logistics, both we have seen. Channel of distribution we talked about. And then finally, we have seen the different formats. The channel they organize using the different formats. So all these are part of the place or the placement, which is the important piece in the marketing. So week 6, we have promotion. So we are trying to go through each and every piece of marketing in detail. So the next week, probably it will be week 7, right? It will be a promotion, right? Go back here, the learning objective, we understood the supply chain management and how the marketing channels add values. We have seen the nature of marketing channel and how they are organized to create values. And we identified the 3 main distribution channel basis of the intensities. Like we have seen the 3 different formats: exclusive, selective, and intensive outlets. So now if you have any doubt, you can ask. I'm stopping the recording, and then meantime